Yo, I need y'all to lock in for this one because this story is heavy. And it involves a missing teen, a shocking discovery, and a case that may be heading toward a grand jury decision. Welcome back to Streetscope Media, where we break down the details with context, not rumors. Here's what's publicly being reported so far. A teenage girl named Celeste Rivas Hernandez had been reported missing after last being seen in Lake Elsinore back in April 2024. Then on September 8, 2025, authorities say her body was discovered inside the trunk area of a Tesla that had been impounded. From there, the case turned into a full homicide investigation, and the headlines started escalating. Now, the part that has the internet shaken is that multiple outlets report the Tesla was registered to the singer known as D4VD, whose legal name has been reported as David Anthony Burke. ABC News has reported that he is considered a suspect in the investigation while also emphasizing that the case is ongoing. And People has reported investigators say he has not been interviewed and that police sources dispute earlier claims of full cooperation. Important note, being a suspect is not the same thing as being convicted, and nothing should be treated like a final conclusion until the courts say so. Now let's talk about the evidence reports that really set social media on fire. Multiple reports say a burn cage incinerator was found inside a Hollywood Hills rental home connected to the singer, along with a chainsaw. This information has been discussed publicly by a private investigator, Steve Fisher, in media interviews and reports. And one quote that keeps circulating is Fisher saying, "We found a chainsaw. No purpose for a chainsaw to be at the house." And he pointed out it still had a protective cover, basically questioning what the plan could have been.
So ever since police popped the trunk of a Tesla that was found abandoned in the Hollywood Hills and discovered the dismembered body of teenage runaway Celeste Rivas Hernandez, there has been a ton of speculation, there has been a ton of suspicion, and all of it has centered around the singer named David. It's pronounced David, but it's spelled with a 4. You can see right down there on your screen. The Tesla was his, and Celeste was his underage girlfriend, and he has not been seen in public since his world tour. It was abruptly scrapped. He hasn't said a word in public about any of this. And now comes a new bombshell report from TMZ that David will likely face charges early in the new year. They and also us, we have reported on a grand jury that's secretly been happening. There's been these hearings with evidence. They've been going on for weeks. And TMZ says the prosecutor in charge believes that David did have a hand in his girlfriend's death. This has been ongoing, and there's been so many different moving pieces to all of it. I'm joined once again by veteran private investigator Steve Fisher, who has been on this story really since almost the very beginning, uncovered a ton of leads, clues, evidence, been in Los Angeles, breaking new developments all along. So, Steve, it's good to see you tonight. You were hired by the owner of the home that David was renting, and you actually went inside the home. What sort of was there any potential evidence? Did you see anything that really stood out to you?
Yeah, well, so we announced previously that we found a burn cage incinerator there for one. And another thing I can tell you tonight is that along with that, we found a chainsaw, brand new. It was with the incinerator. And there's no purpose for a chainsaw to be at this rental house. They're certainly not in charge of, trimming the trees or anything. So, we can't say exactly, it was unused, just like the incinerator, but I think, it could go to show some intent of what this plan was, because whatever happened here, it wasn't a finalized plan. She was not meant to be left in that Tesla on Bluebird Avenue. And so, the plan got upended.
Yeah, and I want to ask you about the burn box in a second. I think that's what is that what you called it, a burn box?
Burn cage.
Burn cage, yeah. Okay. But first of all, I want to get to the chainsaw, because I don't think I've heard that before, that there was a chainsaw inside the home. Where was it?
It was in the garage, and it had not been used. It still had the protective shield over the chain itself. But there it is with a burn cage, and you got to wonder what this plan was, or what the plan could have been, and it's troubling because there's really no, just like the burn cage, there's no purpose for that house,
So the chainsaw, he was renting the house, correct? Because it's the owner who hired you?
Yeah, actually, he wasn't. It was Josh Marshall, his manager. The owner, one of the reasons I got hired is because the owner was trying to figure this out. He didn't know who David was. He had never heard of David before. He thought Josh Marshall was living in the house with his family.
And did the owner confirm that the chainsaw was not his?
Yes, it's definitely not the owner's. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, I mean, I've rented a lot of houses, why you would have a chainsaw in the middle of LA when you're renting a house. I'm just trying to think of like a reason for that. It seems kind of strange.
Yeah, it is strange because, I mean, first of all, to use a chainsaw takes a little bit of training not to hurt yourself. And listen, they're not responsible for any of that, taking care of the outside the property or anything. So what is the purpose? And then when you couple it with not just the incinerator, but now a deceased, 14-year-old in a Tesla that's been parked at that property, it becomes really troubling. And, hopefully there's going to be some justice here soon. It's been going on a long time.
Yeah, it seems like it's really dragged on. In terms of the burn cage, I'm not really familiar with that. What is it? Describe to me, like, what is a burn cage?
So it's literally it's a steel cage that it can withstand temperatures up to 1,600 degrees, and they're used a lot on like farms to incinerate everything from trash to animals, and to break everything down. And it actually, the advertising on it is, if you go to your YouTube page, it says burns at 1,600 degrees. Well, when human cremations are done at 1,400 degrees. So this has the ability to literally cremate a person if you wanted to, and makes you wonder what the intent was.
Now, I'm going to be responsible here. The presence of an item is not the same as proving how it was used, but investigators and media are clearly treating these reports as significant enough to discuss publicly. Here's the newest and most serious development. Fox 11 Los Angeles reported that TMZ is saying the singer is likely to face murder charges and that a grand jury is moving toward an indictment. Bet also reported the grand jury is weighing the case. Translation: if this is accurate, we could be moving from investigation into an official criminal charging decision. But until an indictment is formally announced, it's still in that reported, expected category. Another piece investigators are reportedly looking into is whether there was some kind of relationship or connection between the 20-year-old artist and the teen. And that part matters because it can shape motive, timeline, access, and who knew what and when. But again, these are investigative questions being reported, not proven facts. Let me say this with care. A child went missing, and a family has been living a nightmare. And the reason this story is exploding is because it's not just tragic. It's layered: missing person, disturbing discoveries, a famous name, and now grand jury talk. So here's what I want to ask y'all, respectfully. If a grand jury does indict, do you think the public will let the legal system play out fairly? Or will the internet convict someone before a trial even happens? And on the other side, how do we keep the focus on Celeste and the fact that a young life was lost instead of turning this into pure spectacle? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Keep it respectful. This is Street Scope Media. Real news, real talk. Stay safe, and I'll catch y'all on the next story.